Yeah, I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin, and this is the Broken Skull Sessions. My guest today is WWE Hall of Famer, WCW World Champion, my good friend and former roommate, Diamond Dallas Page. How you doing, kid?
Sink it in, baby.
Good to
Sink
see
it
you.
in. Yeah.
Dude,
me
I'm
out.
glad that
Little stiff.
did you and me ever work?
Yes, only but when I didn't know how to work.
What was that?
Back when I first started, and when we get to the town early because we drove together.
Well, yeah, we did the workouts
But we
together.
never worked
Yeah.
like in a show. Because
Okay.
you would have been way too stiff.
Dude,
Actually, wait a second. No, there was something. I can't remember. It was like it was some kind of 6-man or 8-man.
No, dude, it was a
and
big-
you came across the ring and knocked the dog piss out of me. That I remember.
it was the deal with, I think it was the invasion angle. I
That's
ran the
it.
ring. I got jammed up. I tripped as I was going to you. You were a step early because I was falling down. It was a cluster muck personified.
I
It was
was
like
oh,
I'm thinking, man, I
damn.
blew the roof off the place. And I'm like, really? What? Hey, we're drinking wine today. We got some Broken Skull IPA. This is the wine from, you brought this.
Bella Gloss. It's a very good.
Supposed to be a good
They're
wine?
not paying me. They're not paying me to say that.
Can I, okay.
Come on,
Cheers. It's a tasty beverage.
Yeah,
I'll put it over.
Yeah. It's very
A big
smooth.
theme during the show is what we put over, because when you ride in a car, as many miles we went down the road, getting put over means everything if something qualifies as being good.
Or it's not over.
Man, I've been researching since, we agreed to do the show together. We've been friends forever, probably over 25 years. But where in the hell did we first meet? Why did we become friends? Because we started riding together and
I think
friggin' frack from day one.
I think it was mainly because we say what we feel. You way more than me. I'll hold some of it in. But if I tell you something, it's real. And when people of substance, because you didn't ride with a lot of people. You
I'm
rode
very selective.
Yeah, you were very selective. You were.
Hey, before we kind of get into your career, because you're a Hall of Famer, multi-time world champion, we have a lot of memories together. One story, a blast from the past. I'll throw out a name of a town. You tell me if you can tell the story in a PG version. Bluefield, West
I don't know about
Virginia.
that. Oh, Bluefield, West Virginia. No, I mean, that would have to be. Was that where the Steiner situation happened?
No, dude. It's at the Holiday Inn. All the boys went and partied there after the matches.
No, I can't remember it.
Oh, dude, I passed out in the bathroom. You carried me to my damn room, put me in bed, pulled sheets over me.
There were numerous times where I've helped you push you away on your way to bed.
A lot of people don't know. Some people do that. About 17 years ago, I decided to move to LA.
Right.
And man, I called you up and said, hey, man, I'm thinking about coming out to LA. Said, bro.
I said, what? Yeah. But what happened was you told me you were coming, and I knew you had a really big career that was following. And I was like, oh, man, it'll be great. We're going to spend some time together again. And then, I don't know, a couple weeks went by, whatever, and then me and Kim split up. And I called you, and I remember saying to you, bro, I don't want to talk about this. This is a shoot. It's done. I got a room. If you want it, it's yours. Just let me know later, all right? Don't think about it now. Think about it and don't call me back. A week later, you call me back. Kid, that room's still available. I said, yeah. He goes, want it. You're in. And that's how we ended up moving in together.
$1,000 a month. Hell of a damn deal for LA.
Hell of a deal for LA. But the beauty of that deal was when you told me you were coming out, I was filming Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying, I'm coming in. And I said, now this week, man, I'm out in the boondocks outside LA. So about 10 days later, you've been there for about 10 days, I guess. I walk in my crib, I hear a football game going, and then I'm seeing clothes and beer cans. Like, hey, bro, you gotta give me a hug. I look around. This looks like, oh my God, what the? Everywhere I go, bro, I've been living with Mrs. Clean the last 13 years, and my personal life sucks right now. I can't have my house all messed too. Oh, damn, bro, I'm so sorry. And you start picking up and moving.
There was a picture of us from back in the day.
Oh God.
So on a 1 to 10, I wasn't a great roommate. We got
Well,
along great, but dude, you were a neat freak. It was kind of like
Neat freak. I'm normally the Oscar Madison character, but next to you, I was Felix. You were a fucking slob, and
come on,
and
man.
no, just the truth.
6-time world champ.
No, I don't care. The bottom line is, I made Felix Unger, and you were absolutely Oscar Madison.
What
And
happened?
then there's a moment, and the more I think about it, because I watch your shit here, and you and Foley went off on the cookie story, the infamous cookie story. But I got my own cookie story. And I walk in one night, and now at this point, the house looks good. You're not leaving shit all over. There's not spittoon cups all over, but there you are. You went to sleep here with your face in the mud, and there's a cookie bag, and there's crumbs, chocolate chips all over. And I walk in and I go, bro, what are you doing? Like, no, cookies, not now. And I go, come on, baby, let me help you get to bed. And I got to take you up. Remember the spiral
Yeah.
staircase? So freaking, there's the cookies, and all of a sudden I hear cookies, and you go for the cookie bag, and I pull the cookie bag, and I realize, oh, now I know I want to get you up. And I put the cookie bag, because I'm semi-sober, and I've got the cookie bag out here. Cookies. And you're going to grab it, and I keep moving the cookie bag, and I get you to the stairs, and now I got to push your 260-pound ass up that stairway, moving the cookie bag the whole way until right when we get to the top, as you swat it right to the door and go bang right through the door, right on the bed, face first out. That's Steve Austin's cookie story. Cookies.
Hell of a roommate, though. Always paid my rent on time. Wasn't worth the shit. Dude,
You didn't pay
dude, here's a story. So we live in a Dallas place. It had this barbecue grill. It's kind of a grill. So Dallas decided he was going to go down to Home Depot and buy a new barbecue grill. Anyway, Home Depot was like about a half, 3/4 mile from the condo we used to live in. And so, man, I'm about half hungover, man. I'm going into the gym and I'm driving my car down Jefferson. Driving my car down Jefferson and coming out of Home Depot parking lot, I see this mother pushing the barbecue grill. I'm like, man, who the f gonna push a barbecue grill down the road? I did a double take. I said, man, that's Dallas. And he knew you were still wearing your pajamas and your house shoes. I don't know what you did, but he's walking like nobody's business down the boulevard.
Like
with
a
barbecue
homeless
bag.
guy going with
Yeah.
with a $500 barbecue, though.
Yeah, I was like, man, this mother has some balls. But anyway, that's what it's like living in Dallas Page at a condo. But it was a great time. But let's go back. Let's go back to you and talk about your wrestling days. And I know obviously your childhood coming up. Had a rough time.
Yeah.
But you got into the bar business early on, and you were hustling down there in Jersey. But all of a sudden, you said, "Hey, man, I'm going to head down to Florida and get in the bar business down there."
Right.
Do you think being in the bar business helped you navigate the world of professional wrestling?
I never would have been able to do it. I never have that thing of being in front of a crowd like that. So, but when I run a club, and this I've been doing since I was 23. If there's a wet t-shirt contest, a hot legs contest, a lip sync contest, I'm the host. So I'd be going up there and making people laugh, but I also get in a DJ booth because I could mix rock and roll and get people partying.
Speaking of promos, we got one for you. Some of your old work, probably about 1988 from AWA.
That's right, baby. Diamond Dallas Page here, chairman of the board of the Diamond Exchange. That's right, I am the man responsible for orchestrating the plan to demise and the expulsion of the Midnight Rockers right after.
Demise and expulsion.
That's right, baby. And as far as the Rock and Roll Express, baby, when bad company gets them in the ring, they're gonna hit them so many times, they're gonna think they were in a gang war, didn't know anybody. That's right, baby. Rock and roll is dead, and we're gonna put a nail in the coffin to prove it to everybody. Good God, get up off your feet, crank that music up, get up off your feet, and get on, start yelling at Jim for bad company.
B-A-double-D.
Dude, that's good.
That rhinestone tie.
Yeah.
That crazy shit. Like, that was mellow clothes I was wearing. I wore all that shit in Fort Myers, Florida. Zebra skin boots, leopard skin jackets. I just loved all that rock and roll shit, you know? So I just took it to wrestling.
So how'd you go from the bar scene to getting into business?
Did I ever tell you about the first time I met Jake Roberts? I'd already had I had a relationship, you know, partying relationship. Jake didn't pay for a drink. And then, you know, Ted DiBiase would come in and different guys would come. That picture right there, Luke put that picture up. This is before I'm Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah.
And that's what he wrote on it. Look at that head of hair.
Yeah.
Damn, that was a hell
Like a
of a head of
freaking
hair.
lion.
Ted's head's like 3 times the size of my head. Both of those guys are great guys. But they'd come in the club, and that was Jake letting them know he's a big fan, but he's a good guy, and he'll take care of you. I got a picture with Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty and different guys, the Nasty Boys. All the guys came through there. So one night, I'm back in my office, and right before that, I was standing at the bar, and my DJ was playing Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Remember that?
Yeah, Cyndi Lauper.
And friggin' Captain Lou Albano's in there. And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, man, rock and wrestling. I should have been a part of that. And my buddy Smokey, who's that bartender, heard it, and he comes in, and he's like, Page J, rock and wrestling, what do you mean you should have been a part of that? I said, well, I tried it when I was a kid. Tried what? I said, I tried wrestling.
Because you actually took lessons, had a couple of matches, and
3.
then just kind of faded out.
Well, I hurt my knee.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so, but that was just for a month. I was
Yeah.
taking off, and then I was going to come back. But I got a chance to run my first little rock and roll joint, and the booze, the broads, and the party kind of shifted my focus. So here I am back in here in the bar. We're all drinking, and Smokey goes, so what was your name? And I said, Handsome Dallas Page. And he went, whew, you forget about using that gimmick anymore. So everybody laughs, you know. And so now I'm just doodling on my blotter pad, and I just write Diamond Dallas Page. Jimmy Hart's got the Hart Foundation. What if I was Diamond Dallas Page and I had the Diamond Exchange? And it was like, whoa, yeah, you're fantasizing.
Yeah, fantasizing, it all
that's
sounds good.
That's all it is. So now we're all packing up our stuff, and I'm writing all this down. And I go, Diamond Dallas Page. His wrestlers are the Diamond Exchange, and he's got the Diamond Dolls. That is B-A-double-D bad. And I went to get up. I go, did I make that shit up? Man, and I wrote it down. A week goes by, and because I did all my own commercials, this company, this little cable company wants to do a story on The Voice. At some point, they go, so where does The Voice come from? And now I'm sitting at my desk, Steve, and there's a pair of white sunglasses sitting there. And if they're not sitting there, I don't know if I do it or not, but they are. And I grabbed them and I put them on. And I said, the voice comes from Diamond Dallas Page, Daddy. I was born to be a professional wrestling manager. And it's big, it's bad. It's Norma Jean's voice, and took them off, and that was it.
Hang on, I think we have some of that footage.
Party News Network crews went undercover to
That's it.
uncover
There it
the
is, The
mystery of
Voice.
The Voice. We were warmly greeted upon our arrival.
It's the Party News Network. Get out of here!
But eventually, we got to the bare facts of the matter.
There's that big Cadillac.
I can't believe that you filmed all this. You had to wherewithal, because you carried it. We'll get to your camcorder here in a little bit.
Yep, yeah, we filmed everything.
Call him Page. Some call him Page J.
Dude,
Some
you were
call
out
him
there.
Diamond Dallas Page.
There they are. There they are.
Wrestling manager. That's right. Diamond Dallas Page is where the voice comes from. It's deep. It's hard. It's mean. It's ready to go. It's Norma Jean's Cafe's voice. Everybody.
But we call him The Voice.
That crazy.
Extravaganza. Good God. Now through the end of February, Norma Jean's Cafe, there's a special treat for all you ladies in the 80s with free admission for all the ladies Monday through Thursday at the Norma.
Dude, you know what that reminds me of? Because, like, we're going to get this in a little bit. But every morning when I used to wake up, when we used to live together, way back in the day, I'd come down from a hangover, go to the coffee machine, and you'd already be up. And I would pass by, get my coffee, and like, man, what the is this guy doing? And you were in there working on DDP yoga.
Yeah.
And at that time, way back in, and it's like watching you here, and, you know, from when you jump into the business, you know, to get in the ring, we'll cover that at 35. Man, you've been one of the hardest workers ever. So you're putting the work in. And now you're doing this, you get noticed, and you start doing these videos. But
And again, it's just a dream. It's just a dream. It's not, I tell you what, it's not even a goal yet, Steve. It's not even a goal yet. It doesn't get there yet.
but you're not there yet. But are you hooked? Are you hooked on the business at the?
Oh, I love the business. I'm a huge mark.
Was it the impending or it could be fame and fortune?
No.
Lifestyle?
It doesn't even exist yet.
Okay.
It only exists because that thing got played in Fort Myers.
Yep.
And a buddy of mine named, now, I didn't know him at the time. I get a phone call. I'm in my office in the back. Paige, there's someone on the phone for a Diamond Dallas, Paige? This is like a week after, right?
Dude, in those days to track you down, you know.
That just played.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about Diamond Dallas Page, which is total just a figment of my imagination. I pick up the phone, I think it's Smokey. I go, "F you, Smokey," and I hang up the phone. And Judy calls back and she says, Paige, that's not Smokey. That's some guy named
Smokey, take the
Smitty.
call.
It's some guy named Smitty. He's got a radio show. He wants you on. I pick up the phone. Hello? Who is this? And he says, I've got this radio show, right? And I want to have you on. It's a boxing show. But once a month, I'm going to start doing wrestling. And I saw your piece. I want to have you on. I go, bro, I don't really do it. He goes, that's okay, it's radio. I go, but I don't have enough knowledge of it. I tried it when I was a kid, but it doesn't affect this. I go, I couldn't do it. And he says, and talk about God. And I'm a big God person, you know that. Like lining up the planets. And he says, I'm gonna have Captain Lou Albano on the show. I go, you're gonna have the captain on? Can I talk to him? No, bad. Yeah, absolutely. He goes, I want you to be my expert. I go, I'm in. So I get in there, and Captain Lou Albano was one of the coolest guys ever. When he talked about Diamond Dallas Page, it's like he'd known him for 20 years.
Right.
You know, he played the game.
Yeah.
He got in there. He worked it. Next month, he brings on Sergeant Slaughter. And Bob, I get a little choked up about it because Bob remembered later on. And Bob friggin' treated me like I was one of the boys. After that show, Smitty and I go out for a drink, and he says, you have to do something with this Diamond Dallas Page thing. I'm like, Smitty, again, Steve, it's not even a dream yet, because I don't see the light. I don't see it. And he says, I've got this friend named Rob Russin. And he just passed.
You got a lot of friends that got friends.
Yes.
You know, that's your networking.
You know what it comes down to? I always tell people it's not about, and you're really big about this. It's not about who you know or who knows you. It's about who's willing to say they know you. Who's willing to pick up the phone and go, no, it's stunning, Steve. This kid's got something. Bring him up there. He's going to be somebody. Whoever that was who made that call for you, that meant a lot, you know? And
Okay,
so,
go to your story.
So Smitty says, Rob used to be a boxing promoter. Now he's working for the AWA. I've got his address. You need to send him a tape or something. Of what?
It doesn't exist yet.
It doesn't even exist in my head yet. And so he goes, you're a smart guy. You do a lot of promotions at your club. Figure it out. So I go to 3 friends of mine. All of them bounce for me.
Yeah.
And I call one Big Bad John
Yeah.
and dress him like Big Bad John. Rock Hard Rick, who's handsome as hell and shredded, and Ted E. Bear, who's a midget, and also is going to come out with the Diamond Dolls. And I bring in, this is what I think really put us over the edge, though. A buddy of mine named Captain Jack. He's a radio jock. Best pipes since Lee Marshall.
Yeah.
Unbelievable pipes, and a great guy, and had done independent wrestling. I said, Jack, let me fly you in. You introduce us and do the thing, and who knows, maybe you'll get a gig out of it too. So I flew Jack in, put this tape together, and sent it to the AWA. 2 weeks later, I get a call. is Diamond Dallas Page there. Now I'm smart enough no matter what. Like, I don't know who the this is, but I know I go, yes, it is. Who's speaking? This is Rob Russin from the AWA. You know, we've seen your tape. We've shown it around. Everybody likes your stick. We want to bring you and your boys into Vegas for a tryout. But we've got one question. Everybody likes your stick, but no one's ever heard of you. Where are you guys working at? Well, Rob, I just got to be honest with you, bro. None of those guys can wrestle. What? Why would you send a tape? I said, because it's like a secret society. I can't figure out how to get in. These guys want to be wrestlers, but I'll tell you what, they could train while, you could put me with somebody else. Don't call us, we'll call you. Now, Greg Gagne has been, since 1993, probably my biggest driving force to become a top guy. But at the time, again, I'm nobody. I'm nothing and anything. It's 1988. 2 weeks later, Greg Gagne calls me up. And he says, Dallas, we're going to give you a shot. We're going to put you with one of our teams, and we're going to give you an opportunity. Bring all those crazy clothes you wear and a couple of those hot women, and we're going to give you an opportunity. So I go out there. Remember B-A-double-D?
Yeah.
Well, that's what it became. B-A-double-D, Bad Company. Like, it was almost like it played out in front of me. And I only worked one day a month. But Kurt Hennig, on the first night I'm there, by the third show, he's sitting across from me. I love Kurt Hennig. He was one of the coolest cats ever.
Agreed.
And he grabbed me and he pulled me in. And he goes, Diamond, I love that thing you do. Do that thing you do. I don't know what that thing is I do. And I go, what thing? He goes, good God. And I go, good God. He goes, I love when you do that. Later that night, me and him went to the bar. And you know this. He said, right here, he said, this is where you're going to make all your relationships. More than you will ever make them in the ring or in the locker room. Right here. And he's the first guy to ever really smarten me up to all that. So the only reason it happened was because Paul Heyman, Paul E. Dangerously left. If Paul E. doesn't leave, I may never get that shot.
So what did Medusa think? I mean, because she was a stud.
Oh,
I mean,
she
Medusa
was a
was
stud.
like, she was beautiful and she was just a badass,
She-
total wrestler. So she was ahead of her time, really. So someone like that, you're managing them, or a Bad Company, awesome tag team.
Oh my God.
Dude, here you come, this friggin' rookie over the top. I mean, those guys weren't really mic guys. So they're like, hey, man, just let you handle it. Because, dude, you went out there and took control of everything. And just, dude strutted like a peacock and just swagger to the nth degree. What do you think just possessed you to be able to do that? Because if you look back, I know you worked 12, 18 times over like a year and a half period, but by looking at that, you would never think, hey, man, this guy's really polished.
Right.
That ain't no freaking rookie. But you were a stone cold rookie.
Stone Cold Rookie. Yeah,
No pun
absolutely.
intended.
No, really. Deuce, first of all, Medusa was a trailblazer. I would love to taking that Deuce and put her in a mix today.
Oh, geez, forget about it.
Because Deuce, I talk to Deuce every couple of months. She's the cream of the crop, man. I love her to death. I was so upset with myself that I didn't thank her. So I'll thank you again, Medusa. Love you, baby. And the bottom line is that Deuce was such a trailblazer, man. They trusted me because they saw that I had this passion and what Dusty would call later my energy,
I'm glad you mentioned Dusty because I want to ask you, how did you get on Dusty's radar? And I know, boy, you love a dream.
Oh, man.
How old were you there?
Probably, let's see, 31. I'm wearing a Willie Nelson hat there.
Yeah.
And he came down and took me and my boys out too, introduced us all to Willie. Dusty got up and sang supposed to sing for one time. Well, he must have been up there for 8 songs.
Yeah.
But that's there is no Diamond Dallas Page. Like I might have created stuff up till here, but that's nothing. Getting to where I was going to get to, I needed that guy and Jake Roberts.
Right.
Like those two people put it on a different skew for me. So one night I'm in bed and I got to catch a early flight and I got strep throat. So I'd gone home early that night and I'm trying to get better and the phone rings. And remember answering machines?
Yeah.
I just let it go to it and I hear Mike Graham. I worked for Mike one time in Florida Championship Wrestling because he's bringing Bad Company in. And I go running, hey, Mike, how you doing, bro? Did you get my tape? Because I wanted to work for Florida Championship Wrestling as well. And he goes, I'm sitting with Dusty Rhodes. He's coming back to Pop, Florida. He wants to bring in Baby Doll or Humperdinck, and I told him about you. He goes, I'm going to put you on the phone with him, and I want you to treat him like the biggest mark on the planet. Now, nerves are coming on me like crazy.
And you got strep throat.
And I got strep throat, but it's Dusty Rhodes. You're on. Good God, Dusty Rhodes, the Tower of Power, the man. Dude, I went on some rant for about 40 seconds. And then I went, that's all I got, Dust. I got strep throat. Dusty? Yo, it's Dusty, right? So he's not saying anything. It felt like 5 minutes. It's probably 30 seconds. Dusty? And then I hear, was that a recording, kid? And I said, no, Dust, that's me. I said, but I got strep throat. And and he goes, listen, I like your energy. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put you with Gordon. And you're going to be the Jesse Ventura of the 90s. Dust, I'd never say I can't do something, but I don't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch. I can't possibly do color. He said, don't worry about it, kid. Gordon Foley going to walk you through it all.
Let's give a nice welcome to Diamond Dallas Page.
Good old baby, what's happening, brother? How are you,
Nice
baby?
to
How
see you,
are you?
sir.
I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to be here with the institution, the dean of professional wrestling, brother. That's right, baby. When I got the call from you and you let me know that you wanted Diamond Dallas Page to be doing color for you on Florida Championship Wrestling, brother. Oh, baby, I can't tell you how good I felt, brother.
Okay, so you're doing color commentary with Gordon down there in Florida. But at some point, this is about 89, 90.
Yep, 89-ish. Yep.
Because you were going to have a tryout with the WWE in 1990.
And that's because Dusty had left and he went back to WWE and he got me the tryout.
Okay, we do have footage of the tryout. Let's go to the tryout right here.
Here we go. 1, 2,
Boy, long tail cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dallas Page here in Atlanta, baby. The superstars of wrestling, along with the grand poobah of wrestling, Sir Alfred Hayes. How are you, brother?
Fine, but I'm a lord and not a sir.
Sir Lloyd, what's the difference today? We've got Mr. Perfect,
Good.
absolutely perfect, isn't he?
Perfect execution of
Right,
it.
baby. We've also got the Ultimate Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior is without a doubt one of the...
I can't believe it. Stay tuned.
This is
It's gonna
such a
be
rib
the
here.
He's right.
Okay.
I think you know by, okay,
Oh,
you did not
dude.
coming out of the park.
Dude, I'm going to tell you who smartened me up to all of this before it happened. Paul E. Dangerously. Thank you, Paulie. Paulie smartened me up. He goes, they're going to make you pull on your ponytail. And I said, they're going to what? He goes, they're going to make you pull on your ponytail. So just go with it. And when I got there, that's what this was about.
So that wasn't you. That was
That
a rib
wasn't
by
me.
them. Yeah.
That was Bruce Pritchard telling me to do that. It's like, I get it, but it's all part of the business.
Right. Okay, so you missed out there. How did you end up getting signed by WCW?
So what had happened, Dusty left there because, again, the relationship thing. And this is because, and I thanked Michelle, his wife, in the Hall of Fame when I went in and numerous other times. Thank you, Shelley. When I would call Dusty, a year or so, year and a half, he was up in WWE. And before he came back to WCW. And I would call him, every couple of months just to check in and talk. And he's on the road. Don't worry, Dallas. Dusty will call you, and he would. Shelley made sure he did. It kept our relationship going. So now I hear he's coming back to WCW. And I'm done with the bar business. Me and Kim are engaged. And I know if I'm in the bar business, that guy is never gonna last being married. Like, I gotta get out of there. And maybe I just need to change the scenery. Maybe it's going to Chicago and getting the club business up there, or follow my dream now, because now it's a dream. Florida Championship Wrestling's gone. AWA is gone. So I'm not doing anything in wrestling. And that's when Dusty comes back. And I call him up. I said, I know you can't tell me whether you're coming to WCW or not, but if you were me and I was going to move to Chicago to be with my fiance, or I was going to move to Atlanta, where would you go? He said, well, if you want to be involved in our business, you might want to be in Atlanta. And that's how I went up there. Dusty calls me up and says, okay, I got you. You're going to come up here. You're going to do a show. And then you can come back 2 weeks later. We're going to bring you back again. I flew into Atlanta for the show, and he put me with the Freebirds.
I said, put you with the Freebirds, Michael Hayes, Jimmy Garvin. What did you learn from those guys? Because you're pretty damn green still.
Green as grass.
And you got two most super over guys. Of course, Michael, part of the original Freebirds, and they brought Jimmy Jam in. So it's the Freebirds. What did they teach you?
I have to just segue back, digress for 1 second.
Yeah.
When I was in AWA, I worked 1 day a month, except for when Super Clash happened. Then they'd work 3 days in a row, and somehow I end up in the car. Jerry Jarrett's driving, Michael P.S. Hayes and me. And Michael's got a case of beer, and me and him become brothers over that 3-hour ride. And at the end of the ride, he says to me, I can tell you're not in this to be a TV star, are you? I'm like, no, I love this business. He goes, here's my number. Gave me his number, and like Dusty, he would call me back. So I had a little bit of a relationship with him before coming in. So here's what happens. My first baptism by fire with the Birds, Michael's idea, Jimmy, this is Dallas. Dallas, we're gonna have our backs to the camera. This is the new Freebirds. You come through us, you cut the whole promo, and at the end, we'll look over the shoulder. So the two of the best talkers aren't saying it's on me.
Yeah.
And all I remember is they liked it. So I was happy as hell because I was like in my pants.
Yeah.
You know, now I got to talk for these two guys.
So you learn a lot from those guys, but at what point do you make the decision, hey, I'm gonna have to get in the ring? It's a conversation with a certain individual we both know.
Right. So what had happened was I ended up managing Scott, of course, too, and create that gimmick. But the hair, the bling, the clothes,
The height, the size.
everything. Magnum TA, who I love, he comes up to me and he says, listen, D, Dusty doesn't want to tell you this. He said, so it's on me. We're not going to let you manage anymore. You can still do color commentating with Eric Bischoff. We're going to let you keep doing that, but we can't let you manage anymore. I go, what happened, Mags? Did I do something wrong? I go, I'll fix it. He goes, you can't. It's not your fault. He goes, the hair, the clothes, the bling, the dolls, the rap. No one's paying attention to the guys when you're out there doing it. And Scott Hall warned me about it. He's like, D, don't take this the wrong way, but you're taking too much away from us out there. And I didn't understand it. I said to him, I said, Magnum, are you telling me I'm too over the top for professional in wrestling? And he just laughed just like that. He said, it's not your fault. And he said, what we should have done was put you in a pair of tights and boots and see if you could do this. And he walked, kind of laughed a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
walked away. And I knew what I was going to do. And I'm going for my last match, walking the Birds to the ring. And those guys were the biggest ball busters ever in such a fun way, but they never were serious. They always were just screwing around. But this time, they both walk up to me, and you can tell, like someone let the air out of the room, and they were so empathetic. They were like, "Listen, D, this is just part of the business, man. We're sorry this happened," and they're being so nice, and I'm like, "Hey, no worries. I got 7 months left of my contract. I'm going down to power plant. I'm going to learn how to wrestle," and they just went. They're holding on to each other. They're laughing. Michael fell down on the ground laughing. Obviously, they didn't believe it, and no one believed it. And Scott was like, "What are you doing? You were up here as a manager. Now you're down here." I go, "I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. It's over if I don't go after this." So that's why I did it.
So how long did you work out at the power plant before you started getting on the road and having matches? Because we're going to start traveling together.
Like 3 weeks.
And the former announcer turned wrestler Diamond Dallas Page in.
Tony Schiavone walked back into our locker rooms. I was still dressing with the announcers, and Tony walked in and he said, "That was the best match I've ever seen anyone have for their first match. If you're this good 6 months from now, you suck. But pretty damn good for your first time out there." And, Scott eventually, that left, and it became me and Kevin Nash, and somewhere in between there is where we start, traveling. And there's a picture with our boy Van Hammer. But look at you with all that sweet hair you had back then.
Dude, I was working like the number 3 gimmick haircut because you got a receding hairline, and I'm like, I'm hanging on to Stunning Steve somehow, some way. But we started traveling together, whether it was you, me, Mick, or whoever. We traveled together a lot.
Right.
And you had the foresight to start bringing a camcorder and recording all your matches.
Right.
Nobody else territory was doing that.
Everybody thought I was nuts. They thought I was crazy.
Well, you were.
That's true, though.
You still are.
No, I agree. I agree.
But you were always ahead of everybody as far as taking care of your body, and you started recording your matches.
Right.
The rib was, we'd record your match, and you'd be there working. We hit the record button, me, Pillman, or whoever it was, and we'd do color while you're in there work, and then we go drive 100, 200 miles down the road, check into some box hotel, and try to get the coax table at the back of the TV,
right,
and plug the VCR in. And all of a sudden, we'd watch your match.
We watch everybody. We watch everybody's match.
Well, mainly yours.
Yeah.
We didn't record all of them, but we would say, "Hey, man, give you pointers, point things out." But man, it took a lot of impetus to try to get to the top. Dude, it's a mother to set up a tripod every show and record every single match you work, and you'd had a gold mine if you'd have kept all them damn tapes. But the problem was you're so cheap. You recorded over all of the matches.
Says the cheapest man alive.
That was me and Mick, but she was riding with us.
Well, the funniest stuff though, and we've talked about this before. That's where I really think Stone Cold Steve Austin started to come out, because your color was so funny. And it wouldn't be just you. Might take a Gordon Soley spot, or you might take a play-by-play spot, and Nash might come in, and Raven might come in, or Steven Regal would come in, Mick Foley. That was such classic. I wish I still had that.
All right, so you're green as grass. We're riding down the road together, going to a town, and we get there before everybody else gets there, and you and I decide to do a little workout in the ring.
Yeah.
You remember that?
It really helped me learn so much, not just about the movement and what your body should be doing, but psychologically. And then one day after we got done, I got out of the ring, and I don't know if you remember this, but I've seen you do it at least 3 times. You would have what you would call a match with the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you'd be grabbing arm drag and locking up and getting knocked over to the top rope. And you'd be doing, bro, I would be like, Wow. Like dude, that's magic. And I've never seen anyone do it. Terry Funk could do it. You know, there's Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig could do it. There's a handful of guys that could do it, where it was literally like a 5-minute match. And
Unbelievable. That the broom
unbelievable.
could go over.
Like, holy, he's working with the Invisible Man.
Maybe even in a sleeper.
And you did the job.
Yeah,
Every time.
I wonder if, as long as it's going to be business and it meant something, I'd do the job.
Me too.
But, you know, we would travel down the road together, and going back to you taking care of yourself, when you, me, and Mick were driving together, I remember one time you walked out of the bathroom, you was completely naked. You had an ice pack on this elbow, an ice pack on this elbow, an ice pack on both knees, a wraparound gimmick on your back with an ice bag on your lower back. And I'm thinking, what in the I said, I ain't got no ice to ice my beer down. So I said, Dallas, come here so I can ice my beer down. But you had little gadgets, those pressure point releasers.
Yep.
How did you enjoy life on the road? Because you'd been hitting the nightclubs for so long, so hard, the late hours, but when you gravitated to the road, how did you like life on the road?
I loved it in the beginning. I loved it because it was just such a, just a way for, all the guys to get together and really, I wouldn't really say cliques, but groups of guys you think like, you're like-minded. I really enjoyed that part. I enjoyed getting up in the morning and having to do all this and having to find the hotels. In the beginning, it's kind of scary because you don't know what do you mean we're just going to go into a town and get a hotel and find a gym and then figure out where you're going to go and what you're going to do. But once you get with the group and guys you love hanging with, that to me is the best part.
But you obviously, when you get on the road, you realize all of a sudden when you do it one time, it's just like, man, everything's just a loop.
Right.
It becomes a lifestyle, and that's what you do. So give or take, right around 92, rotator cuff injury, you're out for a minute.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Because that looked like it was the end of everything. And Jake called me up when I'm at the bottom of the card. I'm the curtain jerker, so no one ever thinks I'm ever going to come back. And Jake,
much less do anything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and be a three-time world champion and be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
He reached out to you, or did you reach out to him?
No, he reached out to me.
Okay.
Because what happened, Jake had come in for like 3 months. But over that 3 months, me and Kev became his bag carrier, his drivers, whatever. We just wanted to be with Yoda, and getting to hang with him. And then I tore my rotator cuff, so now I'm home. And Jake's been gone from the company for about a month. And he just calls me up. He goes, hey, man, I heard you tore your rotator cuff. What'd they say? And I said, well, I'm going to be out for about 6 months. He told me, oh, yeah, me and my old lady are split up. I'm living in a Marriott. I said, hold on a second. I walked into Kimberly and I said, hey, listen, Jake's living in hotels. Maybe it's for a couple of weeks. Can we let him have the bedroom downstairs? She's like, sure. So Jake moved in, and I was so psyched to be able, now I've got like real relationship building time. Right. And I'm like, man, I cannot wait to get in the ring with you when I get this thing off my shoulder. He's like, listen, you already know how to do all the moves. You just don't know why, when, or where. He said, you're going to learn more from me sitting on the couch watching your matches than you're ever going to learn from me in the ring. And I thought, okay. And that's what we did. We watched a lot of matches. They were hard to watch matches if you were Jake Roberts, but it formed such a bond between me and him. And then I got the thing off my arm. Jake's still with us. And then he started getting me booked on places with him. So now I'm not making any money, but at least I'm working. I'm in front of people.
With Yoda.
Yeah, with Yoda, because I'm still Yoda's driver. Whatever it takes to be with Jake and learn from the master. I got the Luke Skywalker spot, And one day I walked out of the living room and he's got him booked on this big thing in Singapore and everything. It's a big tour him and Warrior are gonna do. And he's got me set up with a call to call the guy. And I walk downstairs and I see him with the Cobra. And Kimberly's laughing. And I'm just going to drive by this. Got a Cobra in my house, and she's cool with it. Okay. And then I walk into the room. I call the guy, get on the phone with him, get it booked. By this time I come out, she's gone. He's walking down the stairs. He goes, big problems, big problems. I go, what's the matter, dude? I just got booked. I thank you, man. I really appreciate you. No, big problems. Lost a snake. What do you mean you lost a snake? Lost a snake. Snake's gone. I go, stop with me, dude. You can't tell me snake's 12-foot Cobra's gone. He's like, no, Cobra's gone. I go, where was he? He goes, in the shower. So now we walk up the stairs and look in the little bathroom. No snake. I look in, I look around, I go, Jake, where's the snake? Now he's looking behind the toilet. And all of a sudden he hits the vanity ear. He goes, oh, he's underneath here. He'll come out. And they got up and he started walking. I go, where are you going? Get him out. He goes, no, he'll be fine. He'll walk out. He'll come out. He'll go in the tub to cool off. Jake left for 3 days. After that, Jake was gone.
Probably a little bit in correlation with Jake Roberts. How did the character of DDP evolve? Because, I mean, dude, you had zebra print, leopard print, necklaces, rings, bracelets, the robes. I mean,
that was Dusty's coat right
but
there.
But you had everything but in the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
But how did the character evolve into, a serious gimmick character?
Right. Well, reality-based.
Reality-based, and not play, pretend wrestler, become a wrestler.
Right. And even looking at that, like, that's just all the flash. That wasn't really, like, an extension of myself. It was me trying to be this bigger, over-the-top wrestling person.
Dude, you're already halfway over the top.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
But it still wasn't stuff that I wouldn't wear.
100%,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Eric Bischoff is the one that made me do it. He's like, lose the glasses. Dude, I wear sunglasses all the time. He goes, lose the glasses. The last one was the cigar. And I'll never forget it because we were in Atlanta. And right now, at that point, our show was hot. Like, I'm not main event guy, but I'm in the middle that I got to rock it. I just need someone to push it. I just need someone to light it. And Bish said to me, he said, lose a cigar. He just happened to walk by. I was getting ready. I go, dude, we smoke cigars all the time. I get it. You want me to lose the cigar. And I felt like that was the night I walked out and I threw it up and 20,000 people did it. It was an enhancement match with a guy who looked like Brody. And when I turned it into Diamond Cutter, they weren't letting me beat anybody yet. So I'd go out there and make the enhancement guy look good and have him just about to beat me when I'd pull a Diamond Cutter out of nowhere. And that's what was getting it over. But it was lose the gimmicks, be yourself.
Yeah, I thought the cigar was a little over the top because you just had so many accessories.
Right.
So good call by Eric.
He was smart.
I want to take you to what I think is one of the defining moments of the DDP character, and it's a Monday Nitro with the NWO. And you'll remember this as we go into this. There's a little bit of a tease here because you're going to join up, you turn heel.
Yep.
And you guys are buds because of all the past.
This
that
is
you've been
real.
together.
Like, these are real relationships.
Oh, absolutely.
From nothing, bottom guys. You know?
This was going to send you off.
Yeah. This
and
is the
running.
lighting of the rocket.
Yeah. And just so well executed. Watch Scott here. Watch the timing on the cutter. Because you got to wait for it. Watch the little step, half step. Whoa! Bam, beauty.
Yeah.
And then, there you go. Watch the table.
Watch
That
it,
leg.
watch out.
Oh, Mark's almost got
Thank you,
crushed.
God. Thank you, God.
Crowd's going crazy.
That was the rocket right there.
That
was the lighting of the rocket.
Yeah.
Watch took it to a different level, but this was that was the night. So the behind the scenes on that is really crazy because if you just go back 4 months, I come up with that idea.
Right.
And I go to Kev. They ain't doing anything with me. I'm going to ask for my release. unless you'll help me with this idea. And I told him that idea. He said, I love it. He goes, go tell Eric. I go, I ain't telling Eric. Got to tell Scott. So I tell Scott. He goes, I love it. He goes, go tell Eric. I go, I'm not telling him. The big man can tell him. So we go, and because what was great about that back then, we had watch a show, then you go to the bar and you watch the show because it
Yeah,
replays from
yeah.
11 to 2. And that's what Kev ran it by him. And he said, okay, we're going to do it. That was in front of 33,000 people in a dome show when it happened. And then that made Randy want to do something, you know, and that changed my life.
I think in PWI, what was it, 97? Feud of the year?
Yep. 97. Yep.
How was it working with Randy?
Oh my God. It was like when people see him, and he was that guy, man. You know, he was that intense and that a bunch of perfectionists. And he lays out like I would. So for us to come together and to be really like-minded like that, like we wanted to have the best match on the card. We wanted to go out there and just steal it. And for me being able to, like, I couldn't ask to work with Randy.
Right.
You know, for
Right.
him to ask to work with me, that was a big deal. And it got right down to the night before, you know, the pay-per-view. And we're in the locker room. And Arn, you know, Arn's the agent. Arn comes in, he's like, so what do you want to do, Randy? Because every night I'm left laying.
Yeah.
You know, if I escape, I hit maybe Virgil and Buff and take off through the crowd, you know, but I ain't hitting Randy. And Randy looked at me and went, think I want to take the diamond cutter. And Arn looked at me like, whoa. Now this is dark. There ain't no cameras, you know,
Yeah.
and there's none of this.
Yeah.
So Arn looks at me and goes, God damn it, I hope you realize what this could do for your career. And I said, yeah, of course I do. But I really didn't. I didn't realize how much that changed my life. And I was never seen as anything but a top guy after that. It was amazing.
So he's going to do the favor for you that
Yep.
night. It was dark, but the fact was he did the favor.
So so what happened is we went out there and, you know, he kicked my ass up and down. And then out of nowhere, he said, diamond cutter. And he went to slam and I flipped it into it and the roof blew off. And after the 1, 2, 3, it was so loud in there. And you've been there, you've heard that roar. I could still hear him go, well, guess we know what we're doing from Spring Stampede. Like he was testing. Like if it didn't get that pop,
Right.
we wouldn't have been doing that. So I was just grateful.
But after Spring Stampede, was it that the time when Thanksgiving rolled around?
No, that was in April. Then we wrestled like 4 times.
Right.
And now it was after Halloween Havoc was over, and then I was home. Beepers back then, because there's no cell phones. I'm getting beeped by different guys who I helped get jobs, which was a lot of them. Thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving. Appreciate it. Have a great Thanksgiving. And I just started thinking, like who doesn't know that I'm thankful? Like Dusty knows I'm thankful. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. I mean, Jake Roberts. They all know because I tell them and talk about them all the time. So they know. But I'm thinking, who doesn't know? I said, Randy, I bet he doesn't know. So I picked up the phone and I called him. And I said, hey, Mach, man, listen, this is going to sound kind of corny. Bro, I don't know if you know how appreciative I am. Because I want you to know that I know I'm not sitting in this spot right now. I know I don't have this career without you putting me over at Spring Stampede and the run we had this year. And I just want to thank you for it, bro. Hey, man, have an awesome Thanksgiving. And I hung up the phone. And that was pretty much it to me. On Monday, I get the TV. I've forgotten all about it. Randy doesn't call me back, you know, so didn't even think about it. And then from across the building, I hear, Diamond, get over here. And now I'm watching boom, 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 boom. Because that cat was that intense, man. And I'm thinking, what the hell did I do? I know I didn't do anything. And he gets to me and he grabs me and he pulls me in this office and he says, I got your message. Yeah, I did. And I played it a couple of times. Yeah. And I even called my dad and I played it for him. And I said, Dad, did any of the boys ever call you and leave you a message like that? And he said, no. I just want you to know it meant a lot. And then he hugged me. Dude, it was something I could still see, the office, the whole thing. Like,
I can see you welling up a little bit when you talk.
yeah, bro.
Hey, it takes you another. The Monday Night Wars, hottest time in the history of the business. I know there's been good times, bad times, and different top draws or whatever. But when the Monday Night Wars were going hot and heavy, it was the premier time in the business, just as far as TV ratings. You know, people going to the houses and stuff like that. You know, one of the things we used was an outside personality to come in, and you and me kind of really we talked, but we were busy doing what we did. Our careers kind of very like a parallel.
97.
Yeah,
Crazy.
It was
Crazy.
very, very similar. You were getting white hot, and I was white hot. And then I would use Mike Tyson, and you guys would use NBA great Karl Malone. How was that bringing Karl Malone into the fold and doing business with him at a real high level?
That's a special cat. I went to go do an autograph session. Afterwards, someone said, hey, you're here tomorrow too, right? I said, yeah, I am. He goes, the Rockets are playing. Do you want to go to a game? I said, I'd love to. So I go there and, you know, Malone was there with the Jazz playing against the Rockets, and they were smoking the Rockets. And at some point, Carl's on the bench. And I'm only like 20 rows up. And he sees me. And he throws up the gutter. So later on, we got that. He got us backstage. We got to hang for a little bit. Super great guy, exchange numbers. And then I hear Rodman's coming in again. And I pick up the phone and I call him. And I go, I know you want to do this. I said, how do you feel about Dennis Rodman? And most people have no idea about this. Back in the old days, they used to make the NBA rookies room together. And Karl Malone actually stayed, you know, as a roommate with Rodman. So they got to know each other pretty good. He said, I don't know who this guy is who's wearing the wedding dresses, but, you know, I've never had a problem with, you know, Dennis. I said, so let me ask you a question. He's going to come in and be part of the NWO. That means it's him and Hulk. What if it was against me and you? He said, I would definitely entertain that. So I went down to tell Eric about it. And Eric's like, wow, that would be interesting. He goes, let me think about it. Now, that was the day they'd already won 3 in a row in LA. And that was the day they swept them 4-0. And he picked up the phone and he called me. He's like, let's make this deal happen. I just saw Carl manhandle Shaq. And I was like, okay, let's do it. The one thing that Carl told me, it doesn't matter. I got to remember, they're in the finals. The Bulls are not. So we don't know that's going to happen. It did. And once he told me that no matter whether they win or lose, he's going to be on the Tonight Show. And that's what got my brain thinking. And I called E up and I went, you know, they're going to be on the Tonight Show. What if we shot that angle there? And Rodman loved Hulk, loved the business, brought Hulk in with him. And there they are, you know, sitting next to Jay Leno when me and Karl Malone walk in and throw down the chairs and throw up the cutters and shoot our angle. It was pretty crazy.
That's a good shot there. When Vince came to me and he talked about bringing Tyson into the business, you know, with me.
Right.
And, you know, my first thing was just like, oh, man, we don't need Mike Tyson. Jay Bro, an idiot, right? But all of a sudden, I was like, an idiot. Man, they brought Tyson brought so much interest, eyeballs to our product. It was
Sure.
unbelievable. And just how dumb I was to not see the big picture. Did you feel like with what you guys were doing, especially being on the Jay Leno show, how big this was for you guys?
I didn't really realize it until the next day. The next day, like you see, like where they're having whatever it is, world championship, whatever, and there's 500 cameras and there's 1,000 flickering
Right.
bulbs. That's what this was like. It was like.
But you were like me to a degree.
No, I was.
You were in, but you didn't know what magnified to.
I didn't realize that it would take, just everything up. But again, it also put Diamond Dallas Page on a household level like it was Stone Cold Steve Austin. It put us in a different spot as far as people who didn't know wrestling. Like I deal with it all the time, where people who don't know wrestling, but they know who I am.
Right.
Because of the different things like that. And then I did it back again with Jay Leno, and it was just another reason to keep that main exposure going. And, it was fun. It was a lot of hard work, though, having to work with someone because Hulk wanted to put time in. And I was like, dude, it's just me and you. And Dennis I'll tell you, for Dennis, it's 6'6", maybe 215, maybe. That sumbitch was like as strong as anyone ever grabbed me. Like he was, there's a reason why at 6'6", he averaged 22 rebounds a game, and how he did his, he was really an incredible athlete. So was Carl.
So you enjoyed it. You enjoyed the whole process.
I did. I enjoyed it more after.
Right.
A lot of work on the way there.
Hey, one of the key matches in your career is a Halloween Havoc match against Goldberg. And probably, I like the Sting match a whole lot.
Yeah.
But also the Goldberg match was a really, really good one. Let's play some footage from Halloween Havoc in 1998. Monday Night Wars are hot and heavy. Nice intense look by Goldberg, checking out the crowd. Now,
look at beast
there's
he
not
was.
a whole lot of matches that Goldberg has worked that's going to really put in time, and y'all put in time on this match.
Yeah, we went like 13 minutes.
Headlock, top wrist lock.
What an athletic son of a bitch, right? I mean,
Yeah, dude,
go.
to do a leg sweep, guy goes to a backflip, wham.
those are some shoot
He
kicks.
wasn't going to smarten you up by looking at his work. You could tell it was a shoot. Sends him in for the ride, bounces off. Oh, instead of the tackle, goes back. Boom, into the barricade.
I just want to make him look like the biggest killer alive, right? Because
Yeah,
he
that's what
looks
you're
like the
doing.
biggest killer
He
alive.
is. Bam. Diamond Dallas Page, 6'4", 220 pounds of twisted steel sex appeal, draping the esophagus of Bill Goldberg over the top rope. Swinging net breaker, sends him in for the ride. Oh no, back to the same turnbuckle, face first. Russian leg sweep, goes for the cover. Kick out by Goldberg. Front face lock. Goldberg in control there, swinging a miss by Page. Kidney shot by Goldberg. Bam! Oh, watch this. Display of strength.
The beast.
Whatever that was, it was easy.
He was a beast.
Dude was so powerful back in the day.
really was, man.
Good sell job on the
Really
ropes,
was.
coming back up. And so Goldberg wasn't working a whole lot of these matches back in the day.
Nothing like
Sent you for
this.
the ride, boom.
There
Nice
we
move
go.
by you.
Little Rey Mysterio
Little
there.
Rey Mysterio, Lucha Libre, as I called it yesterday when we was watching the
Oh!
tape. Sabat kick. Bam, here he comes, charge for the right. Oh! Lights himself up big time. Big time. Nice close right off the top.
That was a beautiful off the top
On
clothesline.
leg 1, 2. Nope, kicks out.
He's blown sky high here.
And well,
No,
trying to come
no,
up now.
I can't even pick him up.
But it looks like a shoot here.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And he's selling it awesome here.
Cinnamon reversed by
Now,
Goldberg.
did you see do you notice he didn't use his other
Boom,
arm?
DDT.
Did you notice he didn't use his other arm?
Notice.
That was a spot there.
Uh-oh, here we go. Wow!
Oh!
Knocks himself out.
Out. He's out here. He's
Completely out.
Completely out. Now the arm, this is a shoot. This is not him grabbing me here. He can't grab me, his arm. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, he picks me up here. And he puts out thinking, oh my God, he's selling. But no, I don't know. He's out.
Right.
He's out.
Okay, this is great. Boom, keeps the feet, doesn't go down. Wham! Diamond cutter out of nowhere. Great double down. Great.
Look at Mickey J
combo.
there. Mickey J's holding.
Yep. Okay. Going for the vertical souffle. Blocked. Watch this. Boom, off the timing.
Off the timing.
Dude, he just pushed you up like
That's
a
called
piston.
dead weight. That was
Dead weight.
Yeah.
Wham! Hooks the leg. Grapevines the other. 1, 2, 3.
That's a strong sub.
Dude, y'all weren't synced up there. When he just pushed you up like that, it's like, oh,
No.
dude, forget about it.
Weeks before, I said to Billy, I said, okay, I said, listen, I always called him Goldie. I said, listen, Goldie, I've got this psychologist match laid out, and you're going to miss your first spear. No, I'm not. I said, bro, no, trust me, you are. He's like, I don't miss the spear, bro. I mean, that's my spot. I go, that's why you got to miss the spear. So on that kick there, now he didn't agree with me until right before we did it. But I honestly feel like right there, when he sees that, and we're only this far away from each other, he's gonna spear me there. Like he's coming. And it's not him not wanting to play ball. It's him being one of the most competitive human beings on the planet.
Right.
You know? So when he's coming, I'm like, oh my God. And I just throw myself over the rope. And if you could show in slow motion, it would probably look like that, you know? And Goldie, everything had to be real to him. And that's what really got him over.
Right.
Reality-based. That's what got us all over, who were reality-based characters. You know what was really crazy is co-main event was Warrior and Hogan. 8 years earlier, I'm driving the pink Cadillac. Now, 8 years later, I'm in the main event with Goldberg in a match that smoked their match.
Right.
You know, it was really amazing.
Silver lining in this match was something ran along on the pay-per-views.
They did.
Okay, they did.
Warrior and Hogan.
So this match didn't get seen by the pay-per-view
Now,
viewers.
A third didn't see it.
Yeah.
So I had to play it the next night on Monday Night.
But it was a PWI match of the year. So they decided, hey, let's play it on Nitro Free
Right.
TV. Well, it resulted in a hell of a number. And that match between you and Goldberg would be the last time that WCW would beat WWE in the Monday Night
Crazy.
Wars.
Great, but those
But
numbers
so-
were so high too.
Well, the number's so high, but it's also just the number is so much greater when you're showing it on free TV.
Right.
So more people saw the match
Right,
than they
than
would
everyone has
have.
ever seen.
So that was the thing. Like you
Right,
go out there and
right.
get a showcase match,
Right.
both top guys, and a hell of a damn effort. And Goldberg wasn't known for putting in work style
Well,
time.
he didn't have guys he could do that with either. That really that he would let them do it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And for him, he let me do it.
The success from this match would lead to further endeavors and would translate into you getting the opportunity to become a world champion. So let's go to Spring Stampede from 1999. You're going to pin the GOAT, Ric Flair, four-way match.
Or four-way dance.
Got just a little bit of footage from this match, and this is going to be your first world title. You got Sting over there in a bad way over there. You're kicking the shit out of his thigh. Mach in the background. He's calling the shots here.
Yeah, Mach is a ref.
Oh, thumb it. Swing and a miss. Wham, cutter.
And
1, 2, 3. Good solid 3 count from Mach. He could have quit counted. You know, you never knew what was up, but he gave you a solid count.
it's on who I think is the best ever.
Well, I think so too.
You know, Ric Flair.
Yeah.
I mean, I thanked him big time when my Hall of Fame speech goes, you know, we weren't that tight back then, but I wanted to because me and him are that tight today, and I do appreciate everything that he did. Like, that was a really big deal, you know, for me.
We're about to get into some WWE territory here, but before we do, just wrap up your thoughts on the Monday Night Wars, the intensity of that war, and how serious it was taken between the boys. Because, man, when I looked at the ratings and y'all kept kicking our ass, I was like, man, what the? Our show's better. We started getting better in my estimation, but y'all had a great cold open and
Right.
I got great stuff going on. But we took it very seriously and personally. Did you?
Hell yeah. I didn't think it was really, when it first started, Eric saw it. Eric's a visionary, and Eric saw us at some point taking control and winning those wars. And I thought he was smoking something that I wasn't, you know, and I didn't think that we could really do that. Once I started doing this, I was like, wow, there's something here. And Hulk said to me right before it happened, he's like, I've been here before. There's something happening here. So yeah, we really we gave a shit. And I never wanted to take it with a cocky an attitude. I never wanted to see anybody go anywhere because the boys would be screwed.
Right.
You know, that's why I didn't want to see WCW win or WWE win. I didn't want to see anybody win. I wanted to keep the business open. Today, luckily, there's a lot of business out there for the boys.
Man, it's funny because Monday Night Wars would end and WCW would be end up bought by WWE, and I was thinking kind of like, man, were we supposed to put them out of business? were you supposed to buy them? So you're going to be one of the first guys or big stars to come over to WWE. What were your thoughts on coming in as far as your conversations with Vince McMahon?
Well,
Dude, you're one of the hottest guys
Yes.
in all of the wrestling world, a top guy. No matter whose side or what roster you're on, you're a top guy. And they're going to bring you in. What are you thinking with what they're going to have planned for you?
you know, I thought going in, this is a no-brainer. Because first of all, I don't think I have any heat with anyone. I didn't realize how much heat WCW had. And I was
That's the personal nature of the war. Go ahead.
but again, not
You get
really-
it.
Yeah,
you come
but-
in there, you are.
Yeah, but didn't really think about that at the time because I was always thinking every stream in my brain said eventually I'm leaving WCW and I'm going to WWE because I grew up there. I was I don't want to call myself a mark for Vince, even though I probably came off like that. But I mean, I loved Vince McMahon because I saw what he did for the business. So I thought this is like, I didn't get in a fight with anybody. I do business. I don't have a problem doing the job as long as it's done right. I'm a business guy. I'm the most positive cat ever. I was thinking this is going to be great. And Dusty told me, and Kevin Nash told me, D, don't walk away from that money. Get paid. We'll all come in together. And I said, if I wasn't 45 at the time, I would have listened. But I wasn't. I wasn't 35 or 38 or even 40. I was 45. And I knew that I still had a good run in me, but I didn't know how long it was going to last. Not with the schedule WWE's got. So I really felt like, okay, the timing's there. Now, I should have known better when I walked into the room and it was Vince and Shane and me and Kimberly. And I'm looking at Shane and Vince is looking at Kimberly and they tell me about the stalker angle. I'm like, everybody knows. I even said, everybody knows I'm married to Kimberly. And I'm trying to be a team player here. Like, that's all I'm thinking. Don't ruffle feathers. You don't want anybody to think you're a prima donna, blah, blah, blah. If you knew how much I had to fight in WCW, fight. Like on the edge of the seats, fight for everything I got. If I'd have walked in there with that attitude, I'd have been way better off. But I didn't. I didn't think there was any heat there. I didn't realize the heat between the companies. I didn't understand it, the business side of that. So when he said, "You want me to stalk some other, someone else's wife," Undertaker, forget Undertaker, anyone's. If it was me right now, if it was me from WCW, I would have went, "Vince, are you looking at my wife? I mean, what?" But I didn't do that. And what I should have done, and this is what I learned from it, and I always take everything, it beat me down because that angle did nothing for my career. I wish I could have worked with Take before that or after that, but because of the way it was, it was. The bottom line is, it taught me when you have all of this, all you said right before we started this, you can't be afraid to get up and walk away from the table. And what ended up happening at my beginning of my career with WWE, not so good. But when I got to do the best of Nitros, and then to do the appearances, and then to induct Jake in the Hall of Fame and all that, that made it all worth it.
You know, the stalker thing, not a great idea. Positively Page. More of a take on really who you are, but
Right.
over the top, not a great idea.
No,
After the Positively Page or during, at this point, are you seeing the end in sight?
I think that this is never going to go my way here. And it's time for me to move on and follow what my next dream will be.
You are going to have a match with Christian at
Oh,
the
no,
Skydome.
no. Before that, I loved working with Christian because first of all, we're in Canada for, when we do the Skydome, but even we worked around Canada. Christian plays the heel no matter where he's at.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't,
Yeah.
but he does because he's a real wrestler.
Any thoughts on that match? Because
I
you
love that
started at the
match.
Skydome, you ended the Skydome.
That's crazy when you think about that. But I couldn't really think of a better guy that I could have been in that spot with, because I'm 46, he's 24.
Jesus.
And to go out there, and if you watch that match, you can't say that guy's an old guy with him, because I'm rolling, I'm going. And he just made it so much fun.
Was there any regrets about your wrestling career? Anything you didn't do you wanted to do?
I wish I would have done People's Champion versus People's Champion. I wish I would have worked with you. I wish I could have worked with Shawn Michaels. There's certain guys that I think would have been a certain chemistry out there that, oh my God, the promos and the work.
Leaving wrestling is a major process for a lot of guys who are not ready to handle that process. You're one of the guys who left wrestling and would probably, as many people as you influenced, entertained while you were in the ring, the career you would turn to, which you had already set upon many years ago while we were living together. And before that, I saw you doing it, developing your yoga program or DDPY, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
You would impact millions of people's lives with your work after you left the squared circle. Talk about that.
I would say that this right here, this ring, I wear it all the time. Inside it says work ethic equals dreams. A little caught up, a little emotional about that. Explanation point, DDP. This and the world title, first one, Dusty said that, D, that first world championship in that Hall of Fame ring, that shit's real. Like, that's the real shit. I put both of those number 2 next to the resurrection of Jake the Snake.
Right.
Powerful. And being able to have helped my buddy powerful.
You helped out Jake Roberts and Scott Hall tremendously. Everybody does the DDP program. You guys swear by you.
Jake, I mean, look how good he looks there, man. But today, that was 10 years ago almost. And Jake looks amazing today. And we're going to start doing our own podcast, which is called DDP Snake Pit. We're going to start doing it with Conrad, my buddy Conrad, sometime in December, because we just did a short that you had seen that we did at DDP Yoga Performance Center, and Jake texted me afterwards. He goes, "Man, you are really firing on all cylinders, man." He goes, "Your game has come to a different level." He goes, "It's time for me and you to do a podcast." I said, "Jake, I don't have the time." He goes, "Come on, I want to do it with you." And I'm like, "Well, Jake Roberts asked me to do something. I'm going to do it."
Good luck with that.
It'll be fun.
And when are you going to start that?
They'll be airing probably towards the end of December, going into January. And, it's just stuff we're gonna talk about that's close to our hearts, and it's going to be a lot of positive stuff, but there's certain things we're going to analyze and to give our own opinions on. And Jake is Jake, so who knows what we're going to get.
Man, I was on YouTube before you came over, and I was watching that little get together, about a 30-minute thing y'all did in Performance Center, and you're really, really relaxed. And Jake, man, just a different level because of everything that he's been through, and you as well. But just listen to Jake, it's like sitting under a learning tree. So good luck with the podcast. Are you going to drop it once a week? What's it going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be once a week. It'll be called, like I said, DDP Snake Pit. I wanted to call it when they said, "So what do you want to do for a name?" I said, "Let's call it the Snake Pit because,
Jake.
the famous Snake Pit." And they go, "We got to have your name in it." And someone said DDP Snake Pit. I looked at Jake. I go, "You good with that?" He goes, "I love it." It's not like I'm headlining. I just want to clarify that.
No, you both got to get your in.
Yeah.
Hey, you would receive the honor of being inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame in 2017. Yeah, silly question. Cliche. What that mean to you?
Everything. That Hunter, when he called me, I was in my hometown. They were doing Positively Living, is what they came up with the title. And I was in my hometown, Point Pleasant, New Jersey. And it was the last shot. And they say, "Hey, the boss wants to talk to you." And I pick up, and it was Paul. And we started talking. And he was like, "Oh, how's it going?" And I started telling him. And he said, "Man, God, when you think about your career and God, where you started." And I got to be honest, Steve, when I first saw you, when you first said you were getting from the manager to be the wrestler, I thought, "What's this guy, crazy? He's like 36. It'll never happen." But then I got down I was down the power plant with you on so many occasions, and your work ethic and blah, blah, blah. And at some point, I started thinking, is this cameras? Is this that call? And then he said it.
You started putting two and two together while it was happening.
Yeah. And started breathing like, "Oh, wow, yeah." And powerful.
What did it validate for you? Dallas.
God.
To me, it just said, it put an exclamation point behind what you just said. In work ethic. I mean, and times 10, because you never, ever gave up. Dude, I used to live with you. This is back, like I said, when you were working on all your stuff, I mean, you have never been afraid to roll your sleeves up and work your ass off. That's what I know you for, along with just being someone that, if I ever had anything go wrong, one of the guys I would call, just call Dallas. Because if I actually show up with a couple of shovels and a couple of rifles or whatever, Dallas is going to be here.
And not tell anybody.
Yeah.
Just that night, I went out there. Like I said, Medusa, Show, and Tony Schiavone told all three of you. Because I didn't mention my Hall of Fame speech, and I mentioned everybody.
Yeah.
But I mentioned people that you and so many people that were influential in my career. This is a fantasy career. Does it happen?
Do you remember me calling you when I found out you got inducted? You were going to be inducted. I was happier than you.
I know you were. You were jumping.
I know you're
You're
real
dumb.
emotional about it, and I'm so
No,
proud of
emotional
you.
about it. It ain't our 2 bottles of wine. I'm emotional because I care. Bish, when he gave that speech, it was super good, super good. And me and Bish had our ups and downs, you know, like anything. Like he was so mad at me. He was so mad at me when I said, the invasion angle, it's going to be the greatest angle of all time. Well, on paper, could have been. I saw it differently at the time, you know. The greatest angle of all time is the NWO. And then right there next to it is a guy named Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. Change of business. When Bish went out there, he said I had to work 2 times harder. Because a lot of people thought I was just giving because he's my boy. Bish was not a guy who pushes his friends. Hulk Hogan was his friend, but he's Hulk Hogan. He's not the guy, doesn't want to be the nepotism guy.
Copy.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
He said I worked 2 times harder. I worked 5 times harder, you know, and a real 5 times. But what I didn't realize that Bish did for me, he protected me from everybody who might do that
Right.
or that or that. He protected me. Love you for that, bro. Because I didn't realize that. You didn't think you were going to do a Barbara Walters thing here, did you? I didn't realize how much he really protected. I'm going to give you an example. In so many words, he said, you have to stop helping people and quit being so honest. You know, in this business, that can f you. I said, I'm never going to quit being who I am. I'm going to help people, and I'm going to tell them the way it is.
Cheers.
I love you, brother.
It's been fun talking about the past. Let's talk about the present. What are you up to now? Because I know we have Guardians of Justice on Netflix coming up in 2022. How'd you get involved with that project? What's going on?
Adi Shankar's Guardians
Remember
of
him.
Justice. And he said you wouldn't, but he said maybe
Tell him
you
I
will.
said hi.
That's great.
What you got?
It's actually at the Cannes International Series Festival, just was at that. It's going to be in a couple other festivals, then it will show up on Netflix. It's a satire. It's of a very cool superhero series that also, when you play video games, remember video games in 1987? Well, they kind of get laid out as they're going through fight scenes. There's also 8 different types of 2D animation, 3D animation, and claymation, all pulled in to something like you've never seen before. But this is what Adi does. And when it first came to me, the project was 6.5 years ago. And there was so much dialogue. I didn't tell you the truth, Steve. I didn't think I could do it. But Adi got behind me and pushed me to do it. And this is one of my things that I think it could change my life again. It's something that when you get to the Cannes International Series Festival, you've been given a platform that I'm hoping, and I hope people dig it, and I can't wait to see what they think about it. But I feel it's going to be something special.
Looking forward to seeing it. And as you would say, this would be on a level of positive bullshit level.
No more positive bullshit.
No,
This is positive.
this is happening.
This is happening.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I love you. There's not too many guys who can stand across or sit across from a guy and say that. Watched you from the start and proud of you. Proud of you. Love you.
I love you too, brother.
My name is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, I'm still a bad motherfucker. This is my friend, Diamond Dallas Page, WWE Hall of Famer. A guy who's not afraid to roll up his sleeves and work his ass off. And that's the bottom line, because I said so.